Rev up your engines!
Jesse Fernandez TV says, Scotty, my dad wants to get a new car. It's deciding between a 2015 Lexus IS350 and a 2015 Mercedes Benz C400. Which would you choose? Haha, buy the Lexus, unless your father's got money to burn. The Lexus is going to last 5 times as long with 10 times less problems, or even more or less problems than a Mercedes Benz. You know, Mercedes Benz is, they're fun to drive, but, you know, the only problem you're going to find is you're probably going to pay more for the Lexus than the Mercedes, because the Mercedes values drop like a lead balloon when they're 4 or 5 years old, and the Lexus hold their values more. So, you know, I've had customers buy a late model Mercedes cheap and drive them for 2 years and then get rid of them, and they don't care because they didn't pay much. But if he's looking for a long-term vehicle, get the Lexus. Don't even think about the Mercedes-Benz. Zigandra says, Scotty, I want to know your opinion of a 2001 Suzuki Ignis, not VVT. Is it reliable and will it not become a money pit? Okay, it's not VVT, so it's a very simple engine. If, and it's a big if, you take care of that engine. I've had customers drive them a long time, but they were people that really took care of their machinery. They were guys that would change their oil every 3,000 miles, would change their coolant every 3-4 years, would really take care of the vehicle. And being a Suzuki, they were all standard transmissions, the one that lasted a long time. The Suzuki automatic transmissions are garbage, but the standard transmissions were pretty well built, you know? I mean, you got to understand, Suzuki started out as a motorcycle company, and, you know, they don't make automatic transmissions in motorcycles. They're standard, so they know standard transmissions. And it could be a good car if you take care of it. Bobby Vank says, I got an 09 Camry. How do I fix the throwing rod, and how much would it cost? Okay, if it is throwing a rod, if you hear the rod knock, you rev it up and it goes, the rods are knocking. You don't know what's going to cost to fix it and what's wrong until the engine's completely taken apart, because it starts with just the rod bearings. The piston rods have a long rod. That's why it's called a piston rod. That bolts to the crankshaft, and there's the bearings there, so it can go up and down and be smooth. Once those bearings wear and those rods start knocking, they can wear the inside of the block. All kinds of damage can be done. You would have no idea until the engine's taken apart. It costs a really lot of money. But those cars have really good engines. So put in a used engine. Guys wreck them. When they're older and they get wrecked, the car's not worth fixing because the value of the car isn't enough. So there's plenty of good used Toyota engines in junkyards. Just replace the whole engine. That's the smartest thing to do. I can find engines for something like that that's a 10-year-old Toyota. I can get them all day long for $800 or $900 used. Then just put the whole engine in it. Don't even think about fixing it, because once you take an engine apart, you have no idea what's wrong until it's taken apart. And then usually it's more money than you want to spend, and you got to pay the guy to take it apart. It's better to just replace the whole thing. Luke Sky says, I got a 98 Jaguar with 50,000 miles. It kicks when it switches gears and automatic. What can it be? It's been sitting for a few years, but the engine's great. Yeah, well, that's typical on those. The Jaguars do have very good engines. They got nothing against the Brit engines, but the transmissions are garbage. You got a problem in a transmission, but it's sat all those years. My advice would be change the fluid and filter in a transmission, put in full synthetic fluid, and then drive it for 200-300 miles. You might find that solves the whole problem, because when they sit for years, automatic transmissions have tiny little passage holes, and if it sits for years, they get a little bit gunged up and not be cleaned out. With 50,000 miles on it, it shouldn't have any mechanical problems. It should be more that the fluid's dirty and something's clogged up in it. Try that first. Adam A says, Scotty, I got an 08 PT Cruiser. The rear hatch won't open with a key fob, and it's the only way to open it. I tried a new latch and checked for frayed wires. Okay, well, it don't open with a key fob. If you can still open it from the inside, just do that. Now, if you can't even open it from the inside, you'll have to do what I do on customers' cars, and it's a royal pain in the hiney, but it's the only way you can do it is you got to crawl back in there. Then you got to get that inner panel out, and it's a pain in the butt because it wasn't made to be taken apart with it closed, but it can be done, and you get screwdrivers and little cutters and you pull an on-snap plastic place, and then once you get it open, then you can see the problem that's inside there, and usually it's the unit that receives it doesn't get the unit, doesn't open the motor to open it. But if you can open it from the inside. I just live with it that way. You could try another key fob, but it's probably the receiving unit. They're not cheap. They cost a lot of money. If you can get into it otherwise, I just live with it.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.